If you're sick of cheap HID bulbs that don't last as long as your next oil change, I want to show you the Xenon Depot Xtreme HID H11 bulbs that use genuine Philips capsules. What's a capsule and why is it important that it's from Philips? I'm going to show you. The reason aftermarket HID bulbs exist is because at one point in time, somebody thought it'd be a good idea to take out their old halogen light bulb and replace them with HID. The problem is they're completely different bases. So what somebody figured out how to do is to collect the capsule out of the original OEM HID that you'll find in Audi, Lexus, Mercedes, and more vehicles, and they put it on the base of their old halogen light bulb, coming up with something like this. This is a typical aftermarket HID bulb. Originally, manufacturers of these HID bulbs were using genuine parts from Philips and Osram, but over time, as the market grew, people figured out that they could do it cheaper by manufacturing knockoffs of the original bulb. And that's what about 99% of HID bulbs out there are today. Now here's why it's important to have an HID bulb with a genuine Philips capsule attached. Not only is the entire product made with higher quality materials, but that capsule is the most important part. That's where you get your alignment, your longevity, and your brightness. So if you want an aftermarket HID solution that uses OEM grade components like the Philips HID bulb that's found in OEM applications on cars and trucks, you're going to need the Xenon Depot Xtreme HID with built-in Philips capsule. Now Xenon Depot has this available in an H11, in 4300K and 4800K colors. Now if you want to know what those colors mean, go check out our other video on HID colors. Higher number doesn't necessarily mean brighter. It just changes the color. This product is perfect for anybody that wants the highest quality HID bulbs. You don't want to have to replace them every 6 months or watch them have weird color shift over time. You want something that's going to install, have a good beam pattern, be 3 to 5 times brighter than what you had from the factory, and just drive. No screwing around. The other great thing about Xenon Depot HID products are the ballast. Here is the Xenon Depot 35 watt ballast. And did you know this is made by Hylux? Xenon Depot is really the last brand out there to make everything with genuine OEM equipment. Now let's do a deep dive on what makes these bulbs the same as Philips and different than everything else. If we look close at the Philips stock HID bulb and the Xenon Depot aftermarket bulb with the Philips capsule, you can see that the internal structure is identical. They've got the same shaped glass tubes, they've got the same glass internal mounting structure, the capsules are the same, and even the quality of the return wire up to the top is almost identical. The biggest thing you're going to see that's different is the original Philips one has a green return wire insulator, and the Xenon Depot one is white. That just indicates the color of the light output. Now when we compare it to this one, you can see that this is really common in a lot of aftermarket bulbs. First of all, if I line them up perfectly, you're going to see a couple things. Number one, the Philips capsule inside the HID bulb is actually about 1 millimeter lower than the other one. That might sound like a lot, but in terms of the focus point of an HID bulb, that's the only thing that matters. When it comes to quality, something I want to point out that's really easy to see. You see the return wire at the very top? The Xenon Depot bulb with the Philips tube has a nicely finished encapsulation that the return wire goes into. This other aftermarket one looks like somebody at the factory just snapped it off nonchalant, and it just looks like it's not built quite as nice. The other thing I want to show you is if we dip it down and you can look inside, the cheaper aftermarket bulb has this ribbed metal structure that's supposed to hold the bulb in place. I don't like that because if you've ever seen anything with metal get hot and cooled, it warps. To me, that means that this bulb over time will no longer be held in that exact spot. When you look at the Xenon Depot bulb, you'll see that down inside it's held in place with some high temp silicone and ceramic. Both of those are designed to withstand heat. Now originally these HID bulbs were designed with a little interior spring that keeps tension when mounting to the headlight. This is what your stock halogen light bulbs have. If you look at this aftermarket one next to the Xenon Depot bulb, there's nothing in that cavity where there's supposed to be a spring. So let me show you what that spring does, and another reason why the Xenon Depot bulbs are superior to pretty much everything else out there outside of the OEM. If I take the O-ring off, you're going to see that right here there's this little metal clip sticking out. And I can push on it a little bit, and you're going to see that it gives a little bit. Now take a look at the stock halogen light bulb. We've got that same metal spring clip underneath that mounting tab. So why doesn't this aftermarket bulb have it? You can see it kind of looks like something's missing on the cheaper aftermarket bulb from a generic manufacturer. The reason's simple. They try to make them cheap, so they look at places to cut corners. That little spring clip provides tension to make sure that your bulb doesn't bounce around inside the headlight and that it doesn't become loose. Now when we compare it to this one, you can see that this is really common in a lot of aftermarket bulbs. There's only one set of wires. Now you need two to make this work unless you're going to be doing some custom wiring. So a lot of times you get cheaper HID bulbs that just have this, and you've got to figure out the other half of the wiring yourself. You see how the Xenon Depot one has two sets of wiring? One set of wiring that goes from the bulb to the ballast, and a second set of wiring that mounts to your factory headlight wire harness to the ballast, and all through the pass-through. What's really nice about the Xenon Depot bulbs in comparison to a lot of aftermarket HID bulbs is the pass-through grommet. This is the grommet that makes it easy to install through a sealed assembly. You can see the Xenon Depot pass-through grommet is pretty large, and it has multiple tiers of coverage. What this does is it makes it create a perfect seal that's easy to install. A lot of aftermarket bulbs have a seal like this that's quite small, a little flimsy, difficult to install, and easy to fall out. Another important thing to point out is that the Xenon Depot bulbs come with not only both sets of wires installed in the pass-through grommet, but they have all of the connectors. As you can see, some HID bulbs come out of the box with just bare pins. Yes, this works, but you might have to assemble that connector yourself, or if they didn't send you the connector, you might have to have exposed bare contacts inside your assembly. So like I said, these Xenon Depot bulbs come in H1 or H11. That means they'll fit any H1, H8, H9, H11, H11B application. These bulbs are used everywhere. I've seen them used in fog lights, low beams, high beams, projector headlights, reflector headlights, cars, trucks, vans. I've seen them on snowmobiles, ATVs and UTVs. I've seen them used on boats that have headlights. I've seen them used on industrial vehicles. I've seen H1s used in off-road lighting. So these are a really common bulb to find across the world. And if you want to see what it looks like when you do the upgrade, this is what you should expect. First, your stock headlights. This is kind of what you expect out of anything built up to recent years. You've got that soft, yellow, dingy light. Not a whole lot of excitement going on, but when we swap out the halogen bulb for the Xenon Depot HID with the Phillips capsule, you get this. Talk about an incredible increase in light output. Not to mention, the color is more desirable. These aren't that super white, super blue color that you see on a lot of aftermarket headlights and fog lights. These are a true OEM HID color that you'd expect from a high-end luxury vehicle like Mercedes or Audi. If you're out there shopping for your next HID project and you're trying to figure out if the Xenon Depot Xtreme HID with genuine Phillips capsules is the right product for you, all you need to know is, do you want reliability, longevity, and OEM grade high quality materials? That's it. That's what they're all about. If you're sick of dealing with all the aftermarket junk that just keeps failing, go to headlightrevolution.com and see what we have for your vehicle.